Hello, everybody. So I decided that I am going to do what I said in the last video, which is just do the next two theories in the order that they were voted on the poll. So, we're going to be talking about the Watts is still alive theory, which is less of a theory and more so just me not wanting Watts to be dead because I think it's not a well-written death whatsoever. So I guess we could start off with why I don't like the death. It's just, if Watts had fallen into the void and potentially into the relic world, as I discussed in a previous theory, then he'd be there with 5 of Penny's friends. Keep in mind, Watts has been involved in both of Penny's deaths. Back in Volume 3, Watts rigged all of the Amity Arena matchups for the Vital Tournament. And in Volume 8, of course, Ironwood put Watts in charge of hacking into Penny so that she could, or would rather, be forced to open up the vault and get the Relic of Creation. Additionally, in both instances, it was someone innocent who killed Penny. Pyrrha, initially, and, well, okay. Cinder did land the blow that was most fatal to Penny in Volume 8, but ultimately, what ended up taking her life was, of course, John, having to kill her so that she could transfer the Maiden Powers onto Winter so that Cinder wouldn't get them. And John is one of the Fallen Six. Pyrrha's not around anymore, but John is one of the Fallen Six. Everyone has been impacted by the Penny situation. Everyone is impacted by the Penny situation. But the ones most impacted, aside from Penny herself, obviously, would have to be RWBY, because of how close they were. And also, that was the first person Penny asked to kill her, was RWBY. And John, who had to kill her. Who actually had to go through with it. Wasn't just asked, actually had to go through with it. And of course, all of Team RWBY was there whenever they used Ambrosius to make Penny human. So, if instead Cinder betrays Watts by dropping him in the void, which reasonably one would think is death, it's pretty reasonable, then he's stuck in this world with 5 people who he has negatively impacted on multiple occasions. And especially with the Penny situation, and most recently with him being involved heavily in the entire Atlas arc. So it opens up the door for very interesting character interactions, and a potential character arc for Watts. Would he realize that the only way to hurt any of them to get back to Remnant is to work together? Would he realize, and even if he does realize that, does he still work with them, or does he sabotage them so that they can't get back? Does he get them back, but then betray them? Just so that, he can get RWBY to RWBY to Salem, like what Salem actually wants. If he does help them and he doesn't betray them, is he on a redemption arc? Does Watts have the room for that? Of course, if we go the redemption arc path, then you could do the argument that there are too many villains getting redeemed, because Hazel got redeemed before he died. Emerald is on her redemption arc. Mercury is probably headed for it. Neo's probably headed for it. Roman was never going to get one. Adam was never going to get one. Obviously, Salem and Cinder and Tyrion are too far gone for that, which really only leaves Watts. I guess you could argue Ilya had one, but I considered her more of an anti-hero more than a villain. So, yeah. I don't know. It could bring up that criticism, and that would be a valid criticism to have. Is that too many redemption arcs? If he does have a redemption arc, would he return to Remnant to help fight Salem? Or would he stay and be like, well, I mean, if we go back and Salem finds out I'm on the opposite side of things, it ain't gonna go well for me. So I'm gonna help you get back, but I'm gonna stay myself. And then, or he could return to Remnant and just leave. I don't know. I think those are all better potential ideas for Watts' character than just, oh, he dead now. I get why. Cinder had to make sure both Watts and Neo were hush-hush. I mean, Neo's already hush, but still. She had to be sure there was nobody who could say to Salem, hey, Cinder actually used the last question. I get that. Dropping Watts into the void and giving him a character arc also does that, though. And actually does more with him than just, he's dead now. Anyway. That's why, to preface this, rather, that's why I don't like the Watts death, is that there was a better way to handle his character in my mind. So let's talk about the idea that he's still alive, which again is very much me just saying, well, if they're going to do the death and not have it be that great, I am going to say, here's how he's actually still alive, so that isn't the case. Do I think they're going to go through with this? Probably not. Do I hope they do? Yes. I hate this death so much. But, anyway. If we go to how Watts is killed, Cinder uses the staff to remove all the portals. That's the main thing, is removing the portals. I need to keep that in mind, because I feel like that's the main thing someone could say to go against my Watts should have fallen in the void thing, which is, well, Cinder created the trap for Watts with the staff, and that's why the portals are gone. It doesn't matter what she makes. It doesn't matter what she makes, as long as the portals are gone, and she thinks that she's managed to off somebody else with the use of the portals and getting rid of them. As long as that happens, doesn't matter what she makes. She could just straight up do what she said, which is make more flames in Atlas. And it not even be really a lie, because, I mean, it's not really a lie anyway. It's just that it's not the whole truth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what she makes with it, as long as she gets rid of the portals. It doesn't matter. So, what she does, we don't actually get to see what she asks Ambrosius. We don't. Which is really the biggest hole in this theory, is we don't know what she asked. We don't know what the specifics of it are. We just see the staff glow, she leaves the portals, and they all close. Which means she used it. She used it, and something was made, and she left. Turns out that what was made were the fires that trapped Watts in Central Command and in the Atlas military compound. And he falls with the city. So where does not being dead tie into any of those factors that would very assuredly point to, oh, death? Well, keep in mind how Ambrosius works. Ambrosius is very literal and very much needs a reference. So obviously Cinder can just make a flame, and that's the reference. I need you to make a fire. Here. Okay, fine. But what about the literal part? What does she say? I need you to just make fires in Atlas Central Command? What for? And, well, we know what for, but what are the specifics of it? And how is Watts not able to escape? What caused him to not be able to leave the room? Well, my thinking is she used the flame as a reference for what is involved, but what she asked for specifically was a trap for Watts that he wasn't able to get out of. An inescapable trap, if you will, that happens to have fire. Well, with Ambrosius being literal, death is an escape. Let's just be completely honest. Death is an escape. So if it's an inescapable trap, that means he's not going to be able to die in the trap, no matter what happens. So he might be being torturously suffocated right now. But he might not be dead. He could be alive. And just is having quite a bit of a coughing fit right now. So the next time that the staff gets used, he has a possible out if he can get through the rubble of Atlas. I mean, the infrastructure was actually pretty well kept intact, all things considered. It's just a matter of the absolute freezing water. So even if he is alive, he might not survive for much longer, but I would rather that than at least he gets a little bit more life instead of, oh, dead. Sorry, character arc. I'm being a bit facetious about this one. It's just, I have bias because he's my favorite villain. But also, it's just bad. I'm sorry, there really isn't another way to look at it. I know some people have thought, oh, I thought it was a good death, but it's like, it's so nothing, though. It's so unfulfilling. It's so unsatisfying. I'm sorry, it's not a good death. And it just was not the way that I think the character should have gone. At all. Which is really the only reason I decided, you know what, I'm going to come up with a theory that basically just says I'm in denial. I know the show has a theme about keep moving forward, but I'm not moving forward from something that I think is poorly written. So I'm also being a bit facetious with my Volume 9 bingo. I have a space on it that says Watts Death retconned, because, please, that's the only way that can be forgiven, is that if it's shown that he's not dead in some way. It really is. It's not a good death. It's just very much not a good death. It wasn't a good send-off for that character at all. The man stole the show in Volume 7, and then he gets the best scene in Volume 8, when he yells at Cinder, telling her everything I've been saying for years. And then you just off him. Really? That's how you're going to treat him? God. That is a disservice. I don't care. That is a disservice. And that's why that's why this very shaky theory, admittedly shaky theory that only exists because I don't want this death to be canon, it's the only reason it exists, is because I hate this death so much. You can say what you want about Vine's death, Hazel's, Ironwood's, Clover's, I don't care. Say whatever you want about those. Adams, Romans, whatever. Watts has the worst one. I'm not budging on this. Actually, Vine's might be a bit worse. Vine's might actually be a bit worse, if only because he wasn't much of a character before he died. Watts didn't have the most screen time, but he was such a well-established villain when he was on screen. Whereas Vine was just kind of there. So maybe Vine does have a worse death, but I don't care much about Vine to do a theory on how Vine's still alive, and I don't think Vine is still alive. Not after that. No, he's actually gone. Whoops. If I had a nickel for every time I lived through the death of a Vine, I've had 2 nickels, and that isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. It didn't need to go on for this long, just me rambling about making a theory of me being in denial for a death I don't like. Whatever. Yeah, so, like, comment, subscribe. I know that this is just a dumb thing of me not liking a death, so I said, I'm not gonna accept it as canon. I'm putting this as my headcanon instead. This is my theory. Watts has out to still be alive, the way that the staff works. Will they go through with it? More than likely not. Am I still going to be facetious about wanting them to go through with it? 100%. May as well. May as well. Am I going to be aggressive about it and make discourse like I talked about the other day? No. Because that's not good. At least if I'm facetious, I'm mainly just being sarcastic about it, even though I do genuinely dislike the death. I'm being kind of jokey and saying, oh, they should undo it, they should undo it. Granted, I do think it would be beneficial to undo it, but will they do it? No. Whatever. I'm sticking with this as a headcanon, at least. As, like the Neo is a spider thing, I like it more than what we were given. If you can't get down with the canon, make a headcanon. That's what they're there for. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be doing the vacuo theory next, which is one that I'm particularly excited for. And probably the most out there theory of the ones so far. It's also the last one I've got for now, because I don't really have another one at the moment. These are just thoughts I've been coming up with since the end of Volume 8. I don't really have another one right now, but if I come up with another one, I'll have another video. But for now, it's just going to be vacuo theory tomorrow, probably. And then I go radio silent again for a bit. Unless I come up with another theory, which I might. I think about this show a lot. Anyway, so vacuo theory tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.